Hello students, in today's video we are going to discuss poem number 1 of your Hornbill book titled as A Photograph, written by Shirley Toulson. This piece of poetry is a tribute to the poet's mother. So, before we move ahead with the reading and discussion of the poem, let us acquaint ourselves with the author. The author, Shirley Toulson, was born on 20th May 1924 in England. She was a writer, editor who came under influence of Celtic Christianity. Shirley Toulson, in her poem Photograph, describes the emotion she felt as she remembered the story behind the image and what it means to the poet. So, let us go with the reading of stanza 1. Stanza 1. The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went peddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands, and she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. So here, in this stanza, we get to know that the poet is looking at an old photograph of her mother, which has a frame of cardboard. The picture has 3 girls, in which the middle one is the oldest and tallest. It is the poet's mother when she was 12 years old or so. Beside her, on both sides, are her 2 cousins, Betty and Dolly, who are holding her hands and are younger than her. All 3 girls, they went for paddling on a beach holiday. So, now stanza 2. All 3 stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera. A sweet face, my mother's, that was before I was born. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. So, here in this stanza, we get to know that all 3 girls who went peddling on a beach holiday, they were looking at mother's uncle who took their photograph at that time. The poet, when she is looking at the same photograph after so many years, she could not help but notice her mother's sweet face. She also noticed that the sea in that photograph touched her mother's terribly transient feet, which depicted that the mother changed over the years, but the sea remained the same. Thereafter, in stanza 3, we get to know some 20-30 years later, she'd laugh at the snapshot. See Betty and Dolly, she'd say, and look how they dressed us for the beach. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. Both wry with labored ease of loss. So here we get to know that after 20-30 years, when the photograph was clicked, some 20-30 years later to that, her mother would look at that photograph and she would laugh at it. She would even make her daughter, the poet, look at the photograph and also tell her how their parents dressed them up for the beach holiday. The beach holiday was her mother's favorite past memories, while mother's laughter was the poet's favorite memory. Both of them lost something which they cherished a lot and yet cannot live that moment again. Therefore, both are disappointed with their losses. So, now next stanza. Now she's been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived. And of this circumstance, there is nothing to say at all. Its silence silences. So, those sweet moments that the mother and the poet has enjoyed, they were the sweet memories of theirs. Now, the poet's mother had been dead for the past 12 years, which is the same number as of her age when the photograph was clicked. The poet here cannot express the grief that she has from her mother's absence. Therefore, she has no words to express all the pain. Therefore, the silence of this circumstance is becoming profound with the passage of time. So, here we got to know that this piece of poetry shows how time takes its toll on life. We try to capture moments from life which remain as pictures in our mind. Change is the harsh and bitter reality of life. Time and tide wait for none. Death comes as the greatest leveler. It is the inevitable end of all. But objects of nature like the sea, the river, the brooks, and the oceans are perennial and everlasting. But human life is too short in comparison. When death strikes, we humans are expected to accept the loneliness, the vacuum it creates. So, with this, we come towards the end of the poetry. Hope you understood it. Thanks for listening and watching the video. Thank you so much.